Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the OnePlus 11 and compare it against the Google Pixel 7 and see which specific phone is a better one for you. Now, you can see side by side both these phones are very different. If you want to pick up either one of these phones, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, you can see that they both have a little bit of a different design. The OnePlus 11 that just came out on the front has a 6.7-inch fluid AMOLED display. Now, it's a pretty good looking panel. I've said this for many, many years now, and I think, OnePlus does make pretty good panels when it comes down to it. It's a hole punch display. The hole punch is in the top left, which looks pretty good. There's not too much to complain about there. It's 120 hertz, which looks pretty good as well. And there's only one model, it looks like. There's no Pro model this year, which is totally okay. But this is a pretty good panel, and I think it looks pretty good when it comes down to it. On the Pixel 7, on the other hand, we have a little bit of a smaller 6.3-inch AMOLED display. Now, it's a cheaper phone, so keep that in mind. It's a center hole punch, but this is a 90 hertz panel that you're getting on this phone. So keep that in mind. It's not going to be the same caliber of something like a OnePlus 11 in terms of resolution, but it's still a very good panel, and I think Google, for the most part, did a pretty good job when it comes down to this specific device. So I would probably say the OnePlus 11 looks a little bit better, especially with that curved design on the front. In terms of the sides right here, you can kind of see that, at least for me, they both kind of give me the same type of design feeling. They're both kind of curved, but then kind of flat a little bit. But the OnePlus 11 has more of like a smaller curve than the side of the Google Pixel 7. They both have USB-C ports on the bottom. They both lack microSD card slots or headphone jacks or anything like that. Keep that in mind. But on the back, there's a pretty big difference here. You can see for yourself the Google Pixel 7 and the OnePlus 11 both have very interesting designs. So for sure, the OnePlus 11's camera module looks way bigger and just way nicer, in my opinion. But you can also see the Pixel 7 has a pretty unique design as well. So they both have a kind of interesting design, unique styling. The Pixel 7 has the glass back, the standard glass back, which I think looks great. There's not too much to complain about here. The OnePlus 11 has this sandstone, kind of architecture on the back. I think this looks great. Again, there's not a lot to complain about here. But I do like how with the Google Pixel 7, it's that standard glass back. Like, I'm more accustomed to this. I like the uniqueness of this, but I don't know, it just doesn't really feel that good in like real life, to be honest. But beyond that, not too much to complain about. I think they're both very, very good feeling phones. And at the end of the day, I guess, they're both taking chances, which is something I really do like. Now, in the software department, as we've kind of seen, Oxygen OS kind of transform to whatever it is nowadays, and I'm not a big fan of how the software is on something like a OnePlus 11. I think it looks okay, but it's very skinned versus what we used to have on our Android phones on this one. So I think, I guess it's going to grow on me, but, I'm not the biggest fan of this specific version of software. It's still going to be supported for many years. There's probably going to be some development community behind it. But even with something like the Pixel 7, it's not really like as crazy as it used to be in terms of like the features and whatnot, but it's still a very good performing phone for the most part in terms of software. It's still going to be getting software updates for a long, long period of time, probably longer than the OnePlus 11. I guess we'll wait and see. But I guess that kind of covers it up there as well. Now, on the performance side, let's go into a speed test. The Google Pixel 7 has a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside of it with 8 gigabytes of RAM, where the OnePlus 11 has that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside of it with 8 gigs of RAM on the base model, and it goes all the way up to 16 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one's a faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are not cleared out in the background, so let me close out of these, close out of these. So let's get into it. Let's do phone calls. 3, 2, 1. Okay, kind of different. Pixel 7 is, on the right. Messages, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Let's do camera, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and take a photo here. Not that big of a difference. Let's go and hop out of this one. You can see the OnePlus 11, they glitch up a little bit. Let's go and load up their Play Stores, 3, 2, 1. The OnePlus 11, I think, was the faster one. Scrolling through, let's see if there's a difference, which I don't really think there's going to be that big of a difference, but still worth kind of looking at. The Pixel 7 looks a little bit more glitchier, as you can see, than the OnePlus 11, which is very, very weird. Hopefully that picks up over the camera. Now, we do have some of these other apps. We do like Netflix, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Let's go into Genshin Impact, big one, 3, 2, 1. These types of games, there can be lots of latencies, lots of different things like that. So a lot of things could happen here. So, we're just going to have to kind of wait and see. And the OnePlus 11 did actually load that one up faster than the Pixel 7 in this specific example, hopping out of this one. Let's go into like Temple Run. Let's just skip that one. Let's go into this next one, Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. The original one doesn't actually work out that well, which is kind of the more annoying thing. Very, very close between these two as well. The 11 isn't really that far behind, as you can see. The 7 is, I mean, they're neck and neck, and with the Snapdragon processor, you're definitely going to be getting better performance overall and more optimized apps on something like this. Let's do this one, 3, 2, 1. And that's kind of the reason why I can't really use a Pixel like that, is mostly because of the performance. So it's just kind of one of those things. Pretty much these were things like neck and neck as well. Snapchat 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing. Let's go out of here. Facebook 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go out of this one. Quizlet, which I don't even have. Snake vs. Blocks 3, 2, 1. And neck as well. So I think ultimately when it kind of comes down to it, I mean, these are very, very fast phones. I don't know why I took a screenshot. There's not really one that's like exponentially way faster than the other one. But I think, like I said, the Snapdragon one, the RAM is a bigger issue on the OnePlus, if I'm being honest. But I will say the Pixel 7 is very well optimized for what you're getting. So kind of covers it up there. The camera department, they're both kind of different. So with the Pixel 7, you're getting a wide and ultra-wide lens. With the OnePlus 11, you're getting a wide, ultra-wide, and telephoto lens between them. You can do 4K at 60 on the back of both of these, but the OnePlus 11 can actually do 8K on the back, which is actually very, very interesting. Now, something like the Pixel 7 with a device like this, it's a very, very capable phone, if I'm being honest. I mean, this thing has a bunch of power within it, and realistically speaking, no matter what you do, it's going to be perfectly fine. It's not as optimized in those other apps like I mentioned before, but 0.7x zoom, you're getting 8x zoom for the most part. You still have several features built in like night sight, motion, portrait, video, all these other things, cinematic. So there's not really like a crazy amount of problems here. It's still a good camera kind of when it comes down to it. The OnePlus 11 I think is a very decent camera for what you're getting. Like it could have been honestly way worse, but even then, like they just don't put that good front-facing cameras, if I'm being honest. But it's just one of those things we kind of have to live with. So you have basically 20x zoom, which is pretty insane. On the outside, you do have 0.6x zoom that you can kind of zoom out, which I think is cool too. But as I mentioned, you are getting an overall better camera, I would kind of say, on the Pixel 7, if I'm being honest. You have things like night, video, photo, portrait. Under this more option, you do have a few options under here too, which I think is pretty cool, but it's not anything super crazy or that we haven't seen before. So it's just one of those things. Like, it's a good camera, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there could have been a better option out there too for them, especially with the front camera being a little not as good as it could have been. So to kind of sum it up, what I'll tell you is I think the OnePlus 11, it's not a bad phone by any means. I think OnePlus did a good job, but I feel like I mentioned before, they could have done a better job with this specific device. I'm not a fan of the software. I feel like it has a lot of glitches for it being, from a pretty large manufacturer. I think the Pixel 7 is probably the more stable phone. Maybe it's not as fast as something like the OnePlus 11, but it's going to be overall more stable. It's going to be the phone that I think more people are going to pick up. It's not as expensive either. It's fairly cheap now. So that's kind of how both these phones compare. I'd probably pick up the Pixel 7 to be honest, but I think the OnePlus 11 is a pretty good phone too. So that pretty much covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.